U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States is doing well in developing a coronavirus vaccine as a North Carolina lab began manufacturing a possible vaccine on Monday. Mr. Trump visited the facility outside Raleigh, which will start producing a batch to be used in a clinical trial of as many as 30,000 test subjects this fall. The coronavirus causes COVID-19. Fujifilm Diosynth is manufacturing the vaccine for Novavax, a company in Gaithersburg, Maryland, that developed the vaccine. It was awarded $1.6 billion from the federal government as part of an effort to speed up coronavirus vaccine development. While Mr. Trump was in North Carolina, Vice President Mike Pence was in Miami, Florida, where clinical trials of another vaccine jointly developed by the National Institutes of Health and the Moderna Incorporated began on Monday. The Trump administration launched what it calls Operation Warp Speed, a program under which multiple coronavirus vaccines are being developed simultaneously with the hope of having 300 million safe and effective doses ready by January. Some health experts, however, say it can take years for a safe and effective vaccine against a disease to be fully successfully developed. The White House says National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien has tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement, the Trump administration said O'Brien, who heads the National Security Council, has mild symptoms and has been self-isolating off-site. It said there's no risk of exposure to the president or the vice president. O'Brien, who is 54, is the highest-ranking member of the Trump administration known to have been infected with coronavirus. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says there will be no more war as the country's nuclear weapons guarantee its safety despite outside pressure and military threats. That message came from North Korean state media. Kim made the remarks as he celebrated the 67th anniversary of the end of the Korean War from 1950 to 1953. The country developed nuclear weapons to win absolute strength to stave off another armed conflict, Kim said, emphasizing the defensive nature of the programs. His speech came amid stalled talks aimed at dismantling Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs. In exchange for sanctions relief from Washington, Kim and President Trump met for the first time in 2018 in Singapore. They raised hopes for a negotiated end to North Korea's nuclear threats. But their second summit in 2019 in Vietnam and subsequent working level meetings fell apart. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning Hezbollah that it is, in his words, playing with fire along the Lebanese border with Israel. Netanyahu spoke on Israeli television Monday, shortly after Israeli forces said they thwarted an attempt by a Hezbollah cell to sneak across the border. Netanyahu said Hezbollah and Lebanon bear full responsibility for the incident. He vowed that any attack against Israel will be met with great force. The Israeli army said a small squad of armed men tried to infiltrate Israeli territory from the Sheba Farms region. That's an area claimed by Lebanon but captured by Israel in the 1967 war. Forces on both sides exchanged fire for about an hour. No casualties were reported. Hezbollah denied that any of its fighters were involved in Monday's incident and accused Israel of trying to, in its words, invent elusive victories. The U.S. consulate in the Chinese city of Chengdu officially closed its doors Monday as U.S.-China relations marked a new low point. China took over the premises after U.S. Marines in the southwestern city lowered the American flag that had been flying over the building. The closure capped a dramatic escalation of tensions in recent weeks. Washington ordered China to close its Houston consulate earlier this month, accusing Beijing of stealing intellectual property and conducting espionage. China, in retaliation, ordered Washington to close its consulate in Chengdu. In the decades since China and the U.S. established formal diplomatic relations, tensions have risen and fallen. But the world's two largest economies have come dangerously close to outright confrontation. Yet some observers say this has put the current relationship under more stress than anything else.